It's 9:47 on a Tuesday night. There's a soft yellow light over the stove, and that's it. Nothing else on in the house. You've been sitting on the kitchen floor for almost 20 minutes, your back pressed against the cabinet door, one sock half off because you didn't notice it slipping, and you're telling your dog about a small, ordinary heartbreak. The kind that doesn't deserve a crisis, the kind that became one anyway. You haven't told your husband. You haven't told your mom. You haven't told the group chat that lights up your phone 17 times a day. You're telling your dog in full sentences on a Tuesday, on a kitchen floor, and he hasn't moved. Not for 11 minutes. Just those slow, dark eyes locked onto your face. The way they've been locked onto your face since the first night you brought him home. Like he's been waiting his whole life to hear this exact story from this exact person. Halfway through, your voice cracks. It cracks in a way it didn't crack with anyone else today. And you understand something you've understood 100 times before, but never quite let yourself say out loud. You feel safer here on this floor with him than you felt in any room with any human being in you can't even remember how long. You're not going to tell anyone about this. Not the friend who'd tease you, not the colleague who'd misunderstand, not even the people who love you the most. Because you're not sure they'd love you the same way if they knew how much of your real life happens down here. With him, on the floor. You've had this moment before. In airports, in hospital parking lots, in the spare room of a house you don't live in anymore. Always the same dog. Always the same listening. Always the same quiet that no human conversation has ever managed to give you. If any of this sounds like you, please stay with me for a few more minutes. Because what's happening between you and that animal, it's not a small thing. It's not a strange thing. And it's definitely not something you should ever have to apologize for. It's one of the oldest, most precisely documented, most genuinely sacred things a human being is capable of feeling. And almost no one has ever sat you down and told you the truth about it. I'm about to. From the outside, your kitchen floor looks like a story other people think they already understand. They've got 3 explanations ready, and they reach for them fast. You must be lonely. You must be replacing people with a dog. You must be projecting human feelings onto an animal that doesn't actually have them. 3 sentences, all confident, all tidy, all wrong. Let's take them one at a time. The lonely theory falls apart the second you look at the data. People who form deep bonds with their dogs aren't, on average, more isolated than anyone else. A lot of them have full social lives, long marriages, close friends, demanding careers. The replacement theory falls apart too, because the part of you that loves your dog isn't the same part of you that loves your sister, or your husband, or your oldest friend. It's a different room in the same house. Both rooms are real. Both rooms are full. And the projection theory? That's the one scientists have been quietly taking apart for the last 15 years. Study after study, scan after scan, hormone after hormone. Because here's what most people have never actually been told. Your dog is not a stand-in for love. Your dog is doing something to your nervous system that no human in your life is doing right now. And your nervous system has been quietly thanking them for it. Every single night, on every single floor, for years. Most people who love their dogs the way you love yours never figure out why. They just don't. They go their whole lives faintly embarrassed about it. They laugh it off at dinner parties. They downplay it at work. They use the word obsessed in that self-deprecating tone. You know the one. Like they're apologizing for something they secretly suspect is the most honest part of them. And that not knowing, it costs you. It makes you wonder if something's wrong with you. It makes you wonder if you're too much. On the bad days, it makes you wonder if all the love you've been pouring into that animal might have been better spent on a human being. Someone who could have given it back in the language the world prefers. I want to take that wondering away from you tonight, right here. By the time we're done, you'll have a framework for what's happening between you and that dog that you have never had before. You'll understand the biology. You'll understand the history. You'll understand the ache. And there's a real chance, not a small one, that you'll forgive yourself for something you didn't even know you were carrying. So let's start with the science. Because once you see the science, that kitchen floor never looks the same again. Back in 2015, a research team at Azabu University in Japan ran an experiment that quietly rewrote what we thought we knew about cross-species love. They brought dogs and their owners into a room, and they asked them to do one thing: look at each other. Just look. No commands, no treats, no tricks. Then they measured oxytocin levels in both, the bonding hormone, the same one that floods a new mother when she holds her baby for the first time. They measured it before. They measured it after. And what they found was almost difficult to believe. After mutual gazing, oxytocin in the humans rose by roughly 300%. In the dogs, it rose by about 130%. And here's the part the researchers themselves had to sit with for a long time before they published it. The hormonal pattern they were watching in real time in two completely different species, it was nearly identical to the loop that runs between a human mother and her newborn in the first hours of life. Read that again, slowly. That's not a metaphor. That's not a poetic flourish I'm reaching for to make you cry on a Tuesday night. That's what the blood work said. The chemistry between you and the animal at your feet is the chemistry of a parent and a child. Your body isn't confused. Your body is doing exactly what nature designed it to do. The only confusion is in the world around you. The one that keeps insisting what you feel must be smaller than it actually is. A year earlier, in 2014, a neuroscience team at Emory University in Atlanta had already started showing us the picture from the other side. Their work was wild, honestly. They trained dogs to lie still, awake, inside an fMRI machine. No sedation, no restraints. Just trust. Just patience. Just months of teaching a dog that the loud tube was safe. And then they could finally see it. What was happening inside the dog's brain in real time. They presented the dogs with 5 different scents: the smell of an unknown human, the smell of an unknown dog, the smell of a familiar dog from the same household, the smell of themselves, and the smell of their owner. One scent lit up the caudate nucleus, the reward center, the part of the brain that handles anticipation and joy and yes, this is good, more than any of the others. Not the food, not their own scent, not even the familiar dog they slept next to every night. The smell of their person. The smell of you. On a sweatshirt left on the couch. On a blanket that hasn't been washed because you keep forgetting and also kind of don't want to. On the inside of your wrist when you reach down to scratch behind their ear. That smell in your dog's brain is the closest thing they have to home. So when you sit on that kitchen floor at 9:47 at night and something old and warm rises up in your chest, you're not imagining it. You're not making it up. You're not being dramatic about an animal. You are participating in a biological event that 2 universities on 2 different continents have already photographed in your blood and in their brain. The feeling is real. It's always been real. The world just hadn't gotten around to telling you yet. Now, I want you to do something with all of that. I want you to translate it because the science is only the bones, and the bones don't matter unless you can feel them under your own skin. The next time your dog looks at you from across the room, really looks, the kind of long, quiet stare they do when they think you don't notice, I want you to know what's actually happening inside that gaze. It's not neediness. It's not boredom. It's not the small, sad dependence some people will tell you it is. It is the same biological current that's been running between mothers and their newborns for as long as mammals have walked the earth. Same hormones, same brain regions, same ancient instruction whispered down into the body. This one is mine, and I am hers. So when your dog crosses a room to lie down at your feet, that little sigh they let out as they settle, the way their hip bone bumps softly against the floor, your nervous system is not being fooled. It's being fed. When their eyes find yours in the dark of your bedroom at 2 a.m., your body isn't reading the moment wrong. Your body is reading it more accurately than your mind has ever let you. The world spent years telling you the love was small. Your blood always knew it wasn't. You haven't replaced love with your dog. Your dog reminded your body what love was supposed to feel like. Sit with that for just a second. Because for some of you, that's the sentence you've been waiting to hear, without even knowing you were waiting. Now, I want to take you somewhere older, much older. In 1914, in a small village called Oberkassel, just outside of Bonn, Germany, a group of workers were quarrying basalt when they uncovered something they didn't have language for. A grave. Old. Very old. Inside that grave were the bones of a man, the bones of a woman, and curled between them, small, fragile, deliberate, the bones of a young dog. For decades, no one knew what to make of it. The dog was assumed to be food, or a tool, or something incidental that just ended up there. A coincidence buried with two humans. Then, almost 100 years later, scientists ran new analyses on those bones. And the story changed forever. The dog was around 7 months old when it died. It had survived a severe case of canine distemper. In a wild animal, that disease would have killed it within days. But this dog, this small, sick puppy, had lived for weeks while the illness ran its course. Which means something almost unbearable to think about for too long. Someone had held it. Someone had kept it warm through the fevers. Someone had carried water to its mouth. Someone had cleaned it when it couldn't clean itself. Someone had stayed up with it through nights it couldn't understand. By human hands. For weeks. 14,000 years ago. This is the oldest known evidence of cross-species love on Earth. Not utility, not exchange, not partnership in hunting. Love. The kind of love that makes a person stay up late with a sick creature when the sensible thing to do is walk away. The kind of love you and I would still recognize today, exactly, without a translator. For roughly 15,000 years, our species and theirs have been evolving in the same room, side by side, fire to fire, generation after generation. We didn't really domesticate them, not in the cold sense of that word. We grew up together. Two animals slowly teaching each other how to be a little less afraid of the dark. So the way you feel about your dog tonight, it's not a quirk of modern life. It's not a symptom of a lonely century. It's not something the internet invented. It is one of the oldest emotional inheritances you carry in your body. The kitchen floor at 9. 47 is just the latest version of a fire two humans and a sick puppy gathered around in a German valley before the last ice age ended. You are not a strange person who loves animals too much. You are an old person in the deepest sense of that word. You are remembering something the rest of the world keeps trying to forget. Which brings me to you, specifically, because I think some of you are still half convinced this video is about other people. Other dog owners. Some softer, more emotional version of a person you don't quite see yourself as. So let me get specific. Let me describe you in your own kitchen until you can't pretend it's somebody else. There are 3 quiet signs that someone carries what I'd call a primal loneliness, the kind only a dog seems to reach. The first one is this. In any given week, you have more real conversations with your dog than with most of the humans in your life. Not commands, not baby talk. I'm talking about actual sentences with actual feelings inside them, said out loud to a creature who can't answer. You catch yourself doing it in the kitchen while you stir something, in the car at red lights, on long walks where your voice drops half an octave because you forgot anyone could overhear you. The second sign is harder to admit. You notice the smallest changes in your dog's eyes, a flicker of dullness, a slight reluctance, a tiredness behind the usual brightness, long before you notice the same things in yourself. You can tell when their day has been off. You can tell from across the room. Sometimes you don't realize your own day was off until they come over, rest their head on your knee, and just stay there. Like they're saying, "You didn't notice, but I did." The third sign is the most physical one. After a long, hard day, the kind where your shoulders are up around your ears and you didn't even know it, your breath doesn't really slow down when you walk in the door. It doesn't slow down when you take off your shoes. It doesn't slow down when you sit on the couch and exhale at the ceiling. It slows down the moment your hand sinks into their fur. That specific moment. That's when your body finally believes it's home. If even one of those felt like it was written about you, listen carefully. Because I need to say the thing other people are not saying. There's a very common assumption out there, the kind that gets repeated at family gatherings, in jokes between coworkers, in casual remarks at the dog park you've heard 100 times and let slide. The assumption goes like this, that people who love their dogs the way you love yours must not really like humans very much. That somewhere along the line, you gave up on people and settled for an animal. That this great, careful tenderness you carry around is the byproduct of giving up. It's the exact opposite of the truth. In 2017, a team of cognitive scientists at Eötvös Loránd University in Budapest published research on how the human brain responds to emotional faces, specifically in people who have unusually strong attachments to their dogs. The finding was striking. Those individuals showed roughly 23% more activity in the prefrontal regions associated with reading and processing facial emotion. The same regions that light up when a sensitive friend looks at you and just knows something is wrong. Before you even open your mouth. People who love their dogs deeply aren't less attuned to humans. They are, by the brain's own measurements, often more attuned, more sensitive, more capable of feeling, in fine, painful detail, what the people around them are actually feeling. Which brings us to the painful, beautiful paradox at the heart of this whole video. The reason you love your dog the way you do is not because you can't love people. It's because somewhere along the way, you loved people too well. You felt too much. You absorbed too much. You trusted too completely. And you got hurt in ways that left you a little quieter, a little more careful, a little less willing to hand your softest self to another human being without armor on first. Your dog is the one place that armor finally comes off. Not because they're easier than people. They aren't, actually. They have their moods, their fears, their bad mornings, their stubborn streaks. But they are the only relationship in your life where being fully seen has never once been used against you. You're not running from people. You're not avoiding intimacy. You're not retreating from the world. You are quietly, tenderly on a kitchen floor at 9:47 at night, doing the slow and sacred work of remembering how to love without flinching, so that one day, maybe, you can love a person that openly again. You were never the problem. You were the one paying attention. Now, there's one more thing we have to talk about, and it's the part some of you have been quietly bracing for since the beginning of this video, the part you'd cross the room to avoid, the part that lives in a closed drawer of your chest you don't open in front of other people, maybe not even in front of yourself most days. The empty house. You know the one. The week after, maybe the month after, the year for some of you that still hasn't fully ended. The bowl you couldn't bring yourself to wash, sitting in the same corner of the kitchen where it always sat. The leash on the hook by the door. The blanket in the laundry basket you keep meaning to put away and somehow never do. The way your knees still bend slightly when you walk through the doorway, bracing for a body that isn't there to greet you anymore. The little sound at the back door at 4 in the afternoon, the soft scratch you used to roll your eyes at, that never comes. And the silence in that house has a different temperature now. Heavier, cooler. You feel it in your sternum. Maybe you cried the way you cry for a person. Maybe you cried harder. Maybe you didn't know it was even possible to cry that hard for someone who never said your name out loud. And somewhere along the way, a coworker, a relative, a stranger trying to be kind, someone said something that made you feel like you had to apologize for the size of your sadness. They said it was just a dog. They said it was time to move on. They suggested you think about getting another one. They didn't mean to wound you. They simply didn't have the framework. Most people don't. The world doesn't hand it out. But you do. Now, you've had it for about 10 minutes. Because everything we just talked about, the oxytocin loop that mirrors a mother and a newborn, the brain regions glowing at the smell of your sweatshirt, the 14,000-year-old grave in a German valley, all of it points to one quiet, devastating conclusion. When that animal died, your body didn't lose a pet. Your body lost a member of your family in the most precise biological sense those two words can carry. The same neural circuits that grieve a parent, the same hormones that crash when a partner leaves, the same ache in the same chest, in the same bed, at the same hour of the night. Your grief was never disproportionate. The world's understanding of love was simply too small to hold it. The grief you feel isn't disproportionate. It's the only honest thing in a world that taught you to underestimate love. So if you're still carrying that weight tonight, and I suspect some of you are, even years later, even when you thought you'd put it down, I want you to hear this clearly. You did not love that animal too much. You loved them exactly as much as their place in your nervous system asked you to. The bowl in the corner is not a sign that you haven't healed. It's a sign that you knew how to love something fully. Most people go a whole lifetime never learning how to do that even once. You did. You still do. That capacity didn't die with them. It's in you. It's part of why you're sitting here, watching a video like this, on the night like this, with somebody else's dog asleep in another room, or somebody else's dog living only in memory. For those of you who have a dog asleep in the next room right now, soft chest rising and falling, paws twitching at some quiet dream you'll never see, I want to give you something practical to take with you. Because love also pays attention. And sometimes, paying attention is a quiet language we miss until it's too late. 3 small things to watch for, especially as your dog moves into the second half of their life. The first is a half-second hesitation when they stand up. Not a limp, not a yelp, just a beat longer than they used to take. The pause between intention and motion. The moment between deciding to get up and actually getting up. The second is a new sleeping spot. Many older dogs quietly choose to sleep closer to a doorway, a hallway, a place where they can keep track of where you are, as if some part of them is making sure they don't miss the moment you leave or come home. The third is a longer hold of the eyes. When you stand up to go into another room, you'll notice their gaze stays with you a half breath longer than it used to, like they're memorizing, like they're making sure they have you, just in case. If you notice any of these, please talk to your vet, not because something is necessarily wrong, but because you are the one who lives with them. You're the one who saw it before anyone else did. And that's worth honoring with a phone call. Don't blame yourself for not noticing sooner. The fact that you're noticing at all, that you sat through a video like this and let it land, is already love doing its quiet, attentive work. That's already enough. Now, I want to take you back somewhere. Back to that kitchen. Back to that soft yellow light over the stove. Back to a Tuesday night at 9:47 with a woman on the floor and a dog who hasn't moved in 11 minutes. Look at the two of them now. Really look. Because you understand them in a way you didn't 20 minutes ago. In those 11 minutes, oxytocin is rising in both of them, in a pattern almost identical to a mother and her newborn. In those 11 minutes, a region of the dog's brain is glowing softly at the scent of her, the way her brain is glowing softly at the sight of him. In those 11 minutes, 15,000 years of shared evolution are quietly leaning against the cabinet door with her. The fire in the German valley is still burning. Still. The hand that fed a sick puppy 14,000 years ago has just changed shape. It's her hand now. It's your hand now. She is not strange. She is not broken. She is not too much. She is doing the oldest thing a human being knows how to do. And so are you. On your floors, in your cars, on your couches at 3 in the morning when you can't sleep and don't know why. In your kitchens at 9:47 on a Tuesday night you weren't even planning to remember. You are not loving wrong. You are not loving too hard. You are loving the way our species used to love. Before we got loud, before we got busy, before we forgot. You are remembering on behalf of all of us, quietly, with a hand on a soft chest, while the rest of the world looks the other way. You don't owe anyone an apology for that. You never did. So before you close this and let the rest of your evening pull you back in, I want to leave you with one small thing. Something to take with you into tomorrow, into the next quiet walk, into the next ordinary moment you find yourself sharing a room with the creature who has, somehow, against all the odds of this strange modern life, decided that you are the most important person in the world. The next time your dog looks at you from across the room and doesn't look away, know that something ancient is happening between you. Older than the floor you're standing on, older than the language coming out of your mouth, older than almost anything your modern life has a polite word for. You don't need to do anything heroic with that knowledge. You don't need to make a moment of it. You only need to let yourself feel it for one full breath instead of looking away first. And once you let yourself feel it, a question is going to start forming. The same question that's been quietly waiting in the chest of every person who's ever loved a dog this much. Why do they look at me like that? That long, slow, almost human stare. The one that seems to be saying something they don't have the throat to say. What is actually moving behind those eyes when they hold yours for 30 seconds without blinking? What are they trying to tell you in a language you were never taught, but somehow keep almost understanding? That's where I want to take you next. Not tonight, in the next video. Because what's happening in that gaze is older than affection, deeper than loyalty, and more specific than anyone has probably ever explained to you. There is a reason your dog stares at you the way they do. And once you know it, the look will never feel the same again. For tonight, this is enough. Go find them, wherever they are in your house right now. Put your hand somewhere soft, the chest, the space between the ears, the warm spot just behind the front leg where the heartbeat is loudest. Feel the breath move under your palm. That breath has been moving along